You are live, Aditi.
Okay, 20 seconds.
Aditi, you are live.
Okay, thanks, Father. Hello, friends. Namaste and good evening, and a very warm welcome to our today's session on equal pay, still a leave. My name is Aditi Kulkarni. I'm an HR executive at Duro Green Waste Management Private Limited, Ahmedabad, Gujarat. I'm your host for the day. Let me start with a brief introduction of Wiki. It's Women's Indian Chamber of Commerce and Industry, which is a premier national business chamber for women in India, envisioning global impact for women entrepreneurs and professionals from all walks of life. It is a brainchild of Dr. Harbeen Arora, who's the founder and national president of Wiki, global chairperson of All Ladies League and Women Economic Forum. She is a chancellor at Tri University, founder at Bio Ayurveda and She Economy. She is among the top 100 most reputable people on earth as per the Reputation Poll 2019. Wiki has nearly 250,000 members and supporters worldwide, including 60,000 from India itself. It drives fundamental changes in government policies, laws, incentives, and entrepreneurial ecosystems with the view to robustly encourage and empower women in business, industry, and commerce across all sectors and fields. With that, I would like to introduce our eminent speaker for the day, Ms. Cheryl Gracious. She's a hardcore freelance training professional with more than a decade of experience and a passion for training in communication and soft skills. More than books, she has learned from her life's journey. It has taught her how to understand people and situations, and she has understood how to help people start and advance in their corporate careers. She's among those rare people who look for challenges and they do not shy away from them as they perceive them to be their opportunities. She is a recipient of certifications from MNCs like Accenture, Vodafone, Capgemini. But she doesn't boast about them, and she takes up new projects like an avid learner and believes in improvising and thinking out of the box. We welcome you, ma'am. We welcome you on our show today. With this,
Thank,
I would like to start our session, which is about talking equal pay still a leap. Now, first question to you, ma'am, is why at all this term, equal pay? Why was there a need to coin this word, equal pay? Your
all right.
your inputs, ma'am.
Sure. So first of all, I would like to thank you, Aditi, for that so sweet introduction, okay, which kind of covered everything about me, which I did not know. But yes, thank you for that. Yes, to answer the question and to take this discussion forward, when we hear the term equal pay, it's a concept of the labor rights that every individual has the same place of work and they are given the same pay. Okay. Being a slight background in terms of my education as a political science student, I'd like to kind of relate it also to few articles that are mentioned in the Constitution. So, Article 16 of the Indian Constitution says that all citizens have a right for equal opportunity and whether it is public office or whether it is employment, everybody has an opportunity. Article 38 of the Constitution strives for to minimize the inequalities in income among people. And a very good and the best among all the articles is Article 39, which actually promises equal pay for equal work to both men and women. Okay. So, just with that, I'd just like to say that when we hear the term equal pay, we really want to see that equal pay based on the skill, based on the experience, and based on what you can do in that job role, whether you are a male or a female. Okay, so that's what I would like to think would be an appropriate uh, set of words that would cover equal pay.
Thank you, ma'am. That was a very elaborative answer and was really helpful to the audience. Now, as you say, inequality of income, do you feel this is because the career progressions of female and the male employees are different? There is some difference into it? What is your take on it, ma'am?
Yes, I definitely see there is a difference in the career progression. For example, let's start with women. So, women as a women journey, we go from being a girl to a woman, then to a mother, then to managing a family. So there's a lot of variation in the role that we go through. Similarly, I think a man also goes through from a boy to a man to being, managing the house. Or there are also certain men who also balance work and home. So, yes, there is an equal progression in both careers. But why do we see then a lot of women having a career break? So, although the kind of progression is there with both, the career gaps that we look at in women are predominantly much larger. This is not again what I'm saying, but statistics actually say that women have more career gaps as compared to career breaks as compared to men. So that's where we see we can't change society, but I think what we could really see is if there is a mindset change, starting with us as women, and also with the support from the family, with the support from the organizations, with the support from a team, and the companies. I think that way that career progression would definitely not be so impactful if the mindset is changed. So that's what I would
Okay.
like to say.
So, ma'am, do you feel that it is so if there is a female employee and a male, if there is a female candidate and a male candidate appearing for an interview who have similar amount of gap in their career for different
Mhm.
reasons, so do you feel that the recruiters would treat them differently, or there would be there would be no differences in the way they recruit or hire them, both of them?
If I look at it, okay, so I wouldn't be an HR professional to answer that, but from my experience, I would say that there should not be any difference. To give an example, let's say we're recruiting a candidate who has 5 years gap, and one candidate, again, being a female, has 5 year gap. So we're recruiting a male and a female who have 5 years gap. As a recruiter, what my thought would be is, do they have the skill set for the job? Okay, even though they're coming with a gap of 5 years, do they have the experience? Okay, do they have the knowledge when they are tested in a test online, or when they are questioned in an interview? Do they have that ability, capability, and responsibility to carry out that role? That is where I think the HR needs to see those aspects rather than looking at a gap. Okay, whether you're a male or a female, I think both can have the ability to learn quickly. So we say we are quick learners. So it's really
Mm-hmm.
up to the individual. Do you really want that job? Are you passionate about it? Do you feel that you can learn something, whether it's a software or whether it is a new technology or a difference in process or product? Is it that you can learn it? Okay, that is where I think the skill should be questioned. It should be kind of evaluated. I would say well evaluated by the HR to find that right candidate based on
Okay.
knowledge, skill, and experience rather than being a woman or a man.
Okay, wonderful, ma'am. Usually, the points which you highlighted, those points are not probably taken into consideration when recruiting people when there is a gap that goes as a black spot on someone's CV. But do you feel
Mhm.
nowadays gaps or sabbaticals are taken as positive notes or positive signs that a person has taken out some time for himself or herself to enhance himself or herself? Did you find
Mhm.
similar situations when you were, starting your career? Were there similar situations then? How do you find situations then and now? Any personal example, ma'am, if you have?
Yeah, sure. So I just like to kind of say, since I'm coming from a decade of experiences, okay. So my experience with reference to a sabbatical was from 2010 to 2015. Now that period was quite different compared to what it is today. Okay, there at that point in time, the challenges were, yes, they would hire only people who had jobs. Okay, today I would like to say very boldly that there is a huge transition because people who are in a sabbatical are still doing something. They are upskilling, they are learning, okay, they are doing so much more. They really don't need to go to a physical office to learn. So in that case, I have seen that transition from 2015, where what it was, uh, and today, where I would also say that companies have returnship programs. Okay, they have there are certain organizations in India who actually have dedicated themselves as a group to empower women to get back to jobs. Okay, so there are many organizations which are there across. It's not just in Bangalore, but across India. There are many organizations which support that. I also see certain companies, okay, having certain special categories. So when I look at a website, I actually see a category for returnship program as one of the mandatory fields. So that is something where the company itself is actually making that shift from what it was in 2015 to what it is in 2020. And I think that's brilliant, because that's where we want to see the opportunity given to a woman as an equal opportunity, rather than looking at the gap and looking at what he or she does not know. So that's where I feel, yes, it is important. And that transition that has started, I would really kind of love to see all companies do it. Maybe if it could be made it like a mandatory law by our Indian government, it would really help everybody. So I think that is what I would say would bring about a change. And that is actually a slow progression towards equality and equal pay.
Lovely. That was really very wonderful, ma'am. And to know this, I'm sure many of the women who are listening here, they must have got some ray of hope, and that they can really do something, even if they are back from sabbatical, or they want to start once again. Ma'am, my next question to you is that what women need to do in order to reduce the length of this leap, and how to minimize this difference of equal pay. What should women do from the employee side, and of course from the industry side you have mentioned some of the points, but still if you want to say that what should industries look for in such candidates.
Yes, sure. So I think first thing what we need to do is change our own mindset. Okay, that so I always kind of I'm a very firm believer of self belief. So first thing is you change your mindset, that you say no, I think I can do it. So confidence within yourself is the key to starting off. So I think that's what women first need to do. They need to first be more confident about themselves, about the degree that they have, whether they're an engineer, whether they're a doctor, or whether they're qualified as a graduate. They need to first kind of get those things really, really into it and be more confident with that. Yes, today, because of technology, there's a lot of upskilling opportunity. So it's not just that you are there to do work only at home and cook and clean, but you also have a little time where you can sit down and listen to a course online. You can upskill yourself, you can practice it, and there's a lot more. So the second point I would say is, yes, a woman should start upskilling herself. Okay, not wait for a company to upskill her or an opportunity or a job to provide that, but start doing it before you go for the interview. So the second point would be upskilling. Yes, the third, I think women have a very, very unique desire of innovation. Okay, right from creating a dish, okay, to designing the house, to probably putting the cupboard rearranged. I think there's a lot of innovation that happens, and that entire innovation only adds value to your job. So that innovation is also something that you keep doing. We learn, we unlearn, we relearn. That is the third aspect that I would like to focus. So if each person, each woman could think that, yes, let me relearn this, let me unlearn what I learned and do it the way it is required as per 2020 and so on. I think that would make that shift. Yes, managing time. Okay, so for me, I think when I had my break in career, I realized that I had so much of time, and that time management is a very, very important task. So with the Indian society, a woman has to manage both home and work. Okay, but the fact that you can balance that time and give time to both equally, you can prioritize your time, decide what is urgent, what is important, I think that could also be the fourth point to make that shift. There is a couple of international law organizations which are there across, and also a couple of acts like the Equal Remuneration Act of 1976, which actually kind of prohibits a difference of pay between men and women. So I think that would also be a kind of support to a woman, that there is something legal as well. Okay. There's also a new law, which is the Code of Wages of 2019, which also has certain amendments. So I just see that there are changes happening, and that's when we need to look at that changes towards a more positive aspect, and that's how that pay gap, which has been a big leap, will slowly start getting smaller and gradually get better.
Thank you, ma'am. That was really helpful. I guess this is a topic that usually people do not touch upon. Reason being
Mhm.
because this is never thought of. I mean, if there is a gap, there is a gap. There's a common notion of not being able to do anything because you're having a gap in the career. So this was really helpful for all of us. Thank you so much, ma'am. My next question to you is, what does the future hold for equal pay in India? You spoke about so many laws. You spoke about what should females as candidates to help themselves to reduce this leap. So, how do you imagine the future in terms of equal pay?
Okay. So what I would think is, when we look at the future of equal pay, we want every woman, every man to have the same kind of uh, pay structure, if because of certain factors. Uh, One would be the knowledge, the skill, and the experience. Okay. Why I said this along with that? Because it's just not the salary that counts. Okay? It's also the knowledge, it's also the skill, and it's also a very, very high sense of responsibility that is there. Sometimes we feel less responsible at work, but that's not going to help. So responsibility is very, very important. Uh, if I'm looking at the future, maybe I have a different perspective, where companies that have started that returnship program need to retain that for a longer time, and need to show that kind of numbers increasing. It's not just a gender equality that we're looking at, is also touching on this section of women who would definitely add value. Okay. If we go look at an example of a fresher or an experienced person that we hire, okay, sometimes you would say that it's easier to hire a fresher, okay, but does that fresher also give you that sense of responsibility? Maybe they do, or sometimes they don't, right? I would say, if a company wants to keep a probation period and select two people, a fresher and a person from a sabbatical, and see how they perform, give them a fair chance. That's all I'm saying. So I think if a company gives a returnship with a probation on an equal fair chance, that's where that future, will just get escalated and be much more brighter. Um, Coming from a legal background, I really feel that if we have certain legal bodies, many more organizations across India, I'm sure some are really doing well, and I'm also part of few. That actually kind of brings about an awareness and a motivation for each woman to say, okay, let me be part of this and see how it is. So that is where those legal bodies and NGOs really kind of provide support. I would also say that the future needs more awareness, because maybe we are staying in cities, we are aware of it. But people who are staying and are working in unorganized sectors, they really have no amount of idea what is equal pay, or how much they get paid for what they do. Even if they get paid the same wage as a person who's working with them, being a male, they're happy that they got paid, and that's the unorganized sector that we look at. So the awareness has to start growing from the organized sector and move towards the unorganized sector as well. So that way the awareness programs really, really kind of help, and that's where I see the future getting better. Okay. If we look at sustainability, if we look at equal pay, then I think that sustainability word needs to develop much more in 2030 as compared to 2020. Okay. So that's what I would like to say. Um,
Lovely.
just one more thing to add is there are certain policies which HRs make. Okay? Maybe they could revise those policies. Maybe they could, redesign something. I'm sure innovation is the key right now, and that change in the budget, change in the HR policy, of course, keeping in mind the company situations today. But yes, that could also bring about a change overall where not only the company benefits getting a skilled employee, but also the profit increases because of those skilled employees as a team for the future. So, yeah, that's my thought
Investing
on
in
it.
employees. Lovely, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you so much, ma'am, for your insights and inputs. We will take few questions from the audience. I'm sure the viewers are also curious and they have their own set of questions for you. So
Sure.
this is for the viewers. Please mention your questions in the comment box. If you have any, ma'am is here to answer them. So, yeah, Shambhavi, thanks for your question. She says recruiters don't shortlist women resume with career gap. Is this one of the reason equal pay is also question as it don't give chance gives chance to prove. So, thank you, Shambhavi, ma'am. I hope I was audible.
Yes, yes, absolutely. Okay, so
Okay.
so today, if I would look at recruitment, it's really not a concern where you have a career gap. Okay, in that career gap, you could have been doing a lot of things. So what have you been doing in that career gap? So I just give you a personal example. When I had a career gap, I actually started my own bakery business, and as an entrepreneur, what I did was something that I really learned so much. So in that gap, are you doing something? Are you upskilling? Are you getting yourself better? So it's not that you're doing nothing, but what are you doing in that career gap is what you need to start mentioning. Okay. And that's what the recruiter wants to see. What did you do in that gap? And how does that gap period, what you learned, what you did, help you in your current role? So I really don't see that as a problem for it. If you have all the qualifications, if you have all the skill, there's no way a recruiter would not want to, at least touch base with you first to understand what it is, and then maybe see how they can take it further.
Thank you, ma'am. Very well explained, ma'am. Thank you, Shambhavi, for that question. I hope through you there are many others also who have received an answer for that question. We have another from Subhashini Ramaswamy. She says that is it same for the entry level and the mid level positions? Is this the same scenario?
Okay, so it would ideally be a little different for the mid level because most people who do take a career break. Now, we just kind of look into why do women particularly take a career break. Okay, so as per what I have been kind of found statistically, they actually kind of take a career break for childcare. Okay, so when there's a childcare, so you would be somewhere at the mid level of your career. You would not be at the start of your career unless you've got married really young. Okay, but otherwise it's a mid level. So in that's the first reason. If let's say, for example, the parents are old and you want to take care of the parents, so that way your reason for career gap is you are looking after the parents because they're old. So that's another reason statistically also proven. Okay, sometimes women who are on maternity leave decide that they don't want to come back. Okay, so again, those are all things which would come in a mid level. So it's very different when you're looking at the reasons. However, if we look at, let's say, one of the reasons there's a career gap is because you want to study. Okay, so you want to take up an MBA program, a full time, advanced education abroad. So in that case, that's also a career gap, but you're still doing something worth that's adding on to your profile. So there, that career gap is actually going to be an asset to you. Okay, so most of the, if I'm looking at the levels, the level that you're talking about is at the entry level. They do take a career gap because they want to educate themselves. They want to do an MBA course. They want to get you into a PGA degree. They want that kind of thing, and that is where they cannot balance work and a full-time degree program. So in that case, yeah, it is kind of a value add. So I think that's where when we see how that is portrayed, Also, what I feel is when we look at a career gap mentioned in the resume, I think you should mention it and be confident as to how you're going to answer the interviewer, because a career gap is due to a situation. It's not sometimes, it's not again your choice. Maybe it's your choice, maybe it is the family choice, maybe it is a society decision that no, after maternity you let her stay home and continue taking care of the child. So those are situations. So I think that's where we need to see all the aspects and then see how it is. But yes, be confident, know why the career gap is there and what you learned in that career gap.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much for your answer. We will take a last question from the viewers, if there is any, and then we'll wind up the session. Is there any question from the viewers? Anything? Last one? Okay. I guess there are no more questions, ma'am. You very clear and very elaborate so that they have got their answers. So out of all this discussion, ma'am, the three key points which I just felt, one was sabbatical. It's a really good thing if you have utilized it for your benefit, and you can really utilize it for your enhancement and the company's enhancement. Then the returnship program that you spoke of, so that was really helpful. That's something that one can take up, the industry can take up, the companies can take up, and help and get the best manpower for their companies, and not just ignore them because of the gap. So that was one thing, and I'm sure after this session, ma'am, the pie that we see in the poster of today's session, which is 25%, that is surely go to the 50% mark. So it'll be like 50% each for male and female, and I'm very sure after this session this is going to happen. So thank you once again, ma'am, for your time and sharing your inputs and insights, and helping us get some more ray of hope, helping us in the sense the women who are really wanting to go in a direction in their career and they want to enhance themselves. So thank you so much, ma'am, for this evening. Thank you so much, viewers, for being so patient and for the lovely questions you pose. Your questions not only help yourself, but the other people as well who could not raise those same questions. So thank you so much, all of you. Goodbye.
Yeah, just one more thing I just like to add. So last tip is believe in yourself and never give up. And I think that's what will keep you motivated throughout. So thank you very much. Thanks, Aditi,
Thank
as
you,
well.
ma'am.
Yeah,
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much.
thank
That
you
was
so
that was
much.
really a takeaway.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.